Hey guys, how's it going? Just making a short video here on how to propagate your own Christmas tree from an evergreen cutting. Okay, so you want to make sure that you find a tree that's disease free and looks healthy, no pests or anything like that. And then you're going to want to take a cutting of 6 to 10 inches long, about the width of a pencil. So I'm going to take a little bit of a bigger piece because I still got to get it home to prepare it. And you want to kind of cut it, I like to cut it just below a node on a 45-degree angle, just like that. And then from there, I'm just going to stick it in some water, try to keep it safe, and bring it home to prepare it for planting. Okay, now that we have our evergreen cutting safely home, it's time to start preparing the growing media. For growing media, I decided to go with a 6-inch rock wool cube and a Jiffy pellet. A lot of people go with just soil, and that's a great choice too. I just like this product. So to prepare it, I've removed about 1/2 inch to 1 inch from the bottom just to get a little bit more depth. We'll be using that later. The first step to preparing this media is to prepare a reservoir. This is a 5-gallon tank with 6 liters of water in it. I'll be adding a Kickstart 585 mix to it. It's 3 milliliters per liter, so I'll be adding 18 milliliters. Okay, that's 18 milliliters. Give it a good mix. Okay, and the rock wool takes quite a bit longer to absorb water than a Jiffy pellet, so I will be putting that in first. Just sort of put it in, let the water overtake it, and then let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes until it's fully absorbed with water. Okay, it's been close to 10 minutes now, and I can tell my rock wool is fully absorbed because there's no more bubbles coming up. I gotta take it out and just let all the excess water come out because you don't want it to be oversaturated. Now you don't want to squish it because there's a lot of air bubbles in there that help with root development, so you just kind of gotta wait it out and let all the excess water come out until it's just dripping. You can give it a few shakes to help the process. Just make sure not to squeeze it. Okay, once you get it to more of a drip, kind of like that, you should be pretty good. So I can go ahead and put that on a plate, and I'm going to throw the Jiffy pellet in there. Just throw that in there, it'll start absorbing all on its own. Try to keep the hole facing up. And while that's absorbing, I'm going to start preparing the cutting to be planted. Okay, so this cutting is pretty large. I just want it to be safe because I was bringing it home from kind of far away. We're going to bring it down. Remember, just below a node is always good. 6 to 10 inches. So right about here, 45-degree angle. And that's good. You don't need that anymore. And now we're just going to take off all these extra stems that it doesn't need. So we're going to go along here, take that guy off, take that off. Take that off. You can discard those. And now you're going to want to remove about 75% of the lower pines, leaving only the 25% tip covered with pines on top. I'm going to start doing that now. It could take a little bit of time. Okay, so now that we have about 75% of the pines removed, 25% left on top, the last step would be to remove about 1/2 inch to 1 inch of bark off the bottom, dip it into the rooting hormone and plant it. Now before I do that, I have to make sure that my Jiffy pellet is ready, so I can put that back in the water. And I'm going to grab this out. It's nice and full. A little bit too much water. With this you can squeeze a little bit to get it out. It's not going to ruin it. So get the excess water out, give it a little squeeze, make sure it's good, and I'm just gonna set that over here right now and get back to the cutting. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna remove a bottom section of the bark just to help roots grow. I'm gonna use a scalpel. You really want to get your hands on something that's sharp because you're gonna be cutting really thin layers off. You don't want to cut too deep. So start here, nice and thin. All the way around. A little bit thick there. Okay. That looks good. Now I just like to put one little slice in it. Helps with root development. Not all the way through, just a thin slice. And then we're going to dip it in the rooting hormone. I use stem root number 2. Stem root number 3 would be a great choice too, but stem root number 2 would be a little bit weak. You want to pour some in your lid and not dip it directly in, because if this cutting is contaminated, you're contaminating your rooting hormone, and anything you dip in there afterwards will be contaminated. So you dip it in here, roll it around, make sure the whole surface that you just stripped off is nice and covered, and you just sort of give it a little pet to make sure all the excess hormone is off. Now I'm going to set that to the side for a moment, and I'm going to dibble a little hole just to make sure that the rooting hormone doesn't get wiped off as I plant it. So I get in nice little hole, and we're going to plant about 1/3 of it into the growing media, leaving about 2/3 left out. Go in nice and smoothly, try not to wipe too much off, going in about 1/3, making sure not to poke through the bottom. And now you just want to secure your cutting in there by pushing in the sides. Now that we have the cutting in here, the next step would be to place it into the 6-inch rock wool. Try to keep it straight. Now remember, I took a little bit out for some extra depth. Now it's the time to use that. I'm going to bundle it all together here as best I can. Dip it in some water, doesn't need to be long. You can squeeze this, it's just to secure the top. And then I like to just put a little bit around to add some extra security to the plant. You can push in the sides of the rock wool. The roots aren't going to be growing up to the top, so you're not going to hurt nothing. Make sure it's firm. And then for the first few weeks, I like to add this floor flex cap. It just helps with more consistent watering throughout the whole thing and keeps any algae off once it's ready for a little bit more water. Line it up, press firmly down. And there you have your evergreen cutting. The last step is to be patient. These guys take up to a year to root. The best time to take cuttings is in the winter at the coldest times, and then hopefully by the end of the next winter you'll have some roots. I hope you enjoy this video.